Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Caitlin and I am a love and dating coach who helps people sort out the sometimes shit show that is their love life and hopefully get that amazing relationship if and when they want one. Now, this video is a little bit of an extension from last week's where I started talking about it, but we are going to be talking about today the spark and what I call this grey area when it comes to love. And this is something that resonates with so many of my clients. And actually, when I popped this on an Instagram story, I think 100% of people said yes, this was exactly what happened to them. Now, there's a really interesting kind of journey with this work of when we start doing things for ourselves, when we start kind of taking accountability for our own stuff, when we start becoming less attracted to people we can't have, toxic sort of relationships, situationships, and we might have stopped dating people who are unavailable, not nice, whatever. We're kind of leaving that chapter behind a little bit. They hold less power, they hold less sway, and we're not, it would be a bit of a turn off now if we met them again. But we're not quite in the camp. And for some reason, it can be really difficult to find a spark or find the attraction or the connection with somebody who is consistent, who does like you, who does want a relationship and all of those things. So it's kind of can feel a bit frustrating and a bit of a limbo area. Like, you feel like you've left patterns of the past behind, but you don't feel like you're in this shiny new camp where, we're going to find everybody attractive. It's also a place where a whole lot of doubt and anger and frustration can come up, and we can get really annoyed with ourselves and start saying things like, I should fancy them. Why does this always happen to me? The ones I like never like me, and vice versa. We can really get into that territory. So the first thing I would like to remind you is that just because you have maybe met somebody or you're dating somebody who is available, who does like you, who is consistent, who is asking you out, unfortunately does not mean we're going to fancy everybody. Otherwise, dating would be a hell of a lot simpler. But what really we can do is take note of the fact that we are finding qualities about them more and more attractive. So we're really liking the fact that they're texting us, maybe, we're liking the fact that they're asking questions, we're liking the consistency. So don't let yourself go down the shame spiral of, again, still thinking there's something wrong with you just because you don't have that connection with everybody you meet who is available. That's okay. So I'm going to start by saying that for the length of this video, I'd like you to take off the kind of crown of shame and contempt or whatever, just place it to one side for a moment. And what I want to do in this video is give you a few tips of how we can move through this kind of grey area a little bit more quickly, how we can approach dating, and maybe when to call it a day with that person that you might not feel the spark with, if you kind of have been wondering that. So number one, I'd like to gently remind you, and I'll do a longer video on this as well because this is such a huge topic, but a lot of the time the spark that we're looking for, that immediate attraction, that immediate chemistry, can be bullshit a lot of the time, okay? Sometimes it can be based on our attachment style, the past, sexual chemistry, just two people really vibing. It's not an indicator of romantic success. It can be nice to have, but I think it was Hinge did a study in America where only 11% of people immediately reported love at first sight and that kind of crazy instant connection. But that's unfortunately what we're all looking for, right? So please remind yourself that a lot of the time we do need to take time to get to know somebody and that attraction, that connection to build. Number two, I would also like to say that if you've been used to dating on that emotional roller coaster with people you can't have, we do have to accept that dating, unfortunately, is going to feel a bit different for a while, okay? If we've spent years going back and forth with the push, the pull, can you imagine what that's actually done physiologically to your adrenaline levels, your mindset, your attachment style, all those experiences? So this kind of new, maybe slower, maybe less intense kind of dating might not be as roller coaster like. We might not have all the butterflies, and we might interpret this as like feeling a little bit dull and a bit more boring whilst we are working through this grey area, whilst consistency is becoming more attractive. So sometimes you do have to grin and bear it, okay? I know it can be a really frustrating place to be, but please give yourself some grace and space while you're working through this. Number 3, now I'm going to just put it out there. You do need to have some attraction when you're dating somebody, because it's the difference of a flatmate and a partner, right? There does need to be something, even if it's 5-10%. But again, thinking about point 2, when you've been building connection and attraction based on unavailability or an anxious avoidant dynamic, or people not being nice to you, or having low self-esteem, we need to retrain your brain to what is healthy and attractive. It really sounds quite unromantic, but in order to build any change, any new habits, we have to put in effort and consistency. So on dates, a really amazing way to do this is, rather than looking for what you don't want or what's wrong or how they compare to your ex or how you're bored, we need to physically start looking for attractive qualities. Do they have nice hands? Do they hold the door open? Were they considerate? Were they funny? Did they plan something? Are they objectively attractive? Okay, and after every date, write down 10 good things you liked, regardless if you're going to see them again or not. It's not about trying to persuade yourself one way or another, but it is about forcing you to look for things that are attractive and things that you can start to notice and lean into on this date. It can feel like a really forced way to do things, but again, we're trying to create change in something that might have been built into you for years and years and years. So we have to do that with a bit of effort. Leading on from that point, what are we on, number 4 or something? You need to check your mindset as well. If you're going into the dates with the people that you're not sure about, and you're telling yourself, oh, you can't be bothered, oh, I don't like them, then you're gonna have a crap time. There's a difference going in saying, oh, I'm actually really excited and curious to get to know somebody, and I'm looking forward to it, than the other one. So please do a bit of a sense check on where your mindset is. The next point is, when we're in this grey area, again, when we're thinking about building attraction and letting yourself get to know somebody and have enough time, we need to give them a time, but also different opportunities to show you who they are. And I like to do this, first of all, by having a 3-date rule. So unless there's a really strong reason not to, such as, politics, or them being a Andrew Tate supporter or whatever, or rude to, waiters or bar staff, then see them again, because you're not going to know if somebody's the one really, probably after date 1, after spending an hour with somebody. We want certainty that this is it after date 1, and that just doesn't happen. Think about how your friendships were built. Think about that, colleague that you worked with for years, and the more time you spent with them, the more lovely they became, the more attractive they became, whatever it is. So we need to give them time. We also need to change up our environment. So a coffee date is going to give a very different vibe to a romantic candlelit dinner. A candlelit dinner is going to be a very different side to getting competitive, playing crazy golf. So we want to be bringing out different sides of people, so we can kind of see who they are as a whole, and giving yourself and them the opportunity to bring out more attractive qualities, to bring out that playfulness, to bring out that, that lightness as well. So we want to tweak the circumstances to do that. And last but not least, one quite interesting point, and this is something I see quite a bit, is I'm not sure I'm going to be able to explain this very eloquently, but I want you to check your body language and how you are showing up and how you're behaving. Because when you have an instant chemistry or connection with somebody, whether it's butterflies because, of anxiety, or whether you just really fancy them, but they've told you they don't want a relationship and they certainly don't want you want long term, you will behave in a different way. You might be more open, you might be more flirty, you might be more relaxed. Look at what your body language is doing with the people that you feel there is a spark with, there is a connection with, who you do fancy. And then see how you're sitting, how you're acting, how you're talking with the people that you don't like. Are you retreating? Are you withdrawing? Are you bored? Are you going in treating them like a friend from the offset? Because if you are, your body is effectively telling you that you don't fancy them. So again, just do a little practical check on the two different ways you're showing up and see if you can bring some of the playfulness, the lightness in that you would immediately have with the first category. It's a very different vibe, isn't it? So those are kind of 6 points of something that you can kind of work through and sense check. And if you've shown up with a positive mindset, if you've given them a chance, if you've put in some time, if you've looked for the things that are good, and actually you still have that feeling, you still have that like, no, this isn't right for me, there still isn't anything there, then they're not your person. And that is absolutely okay. You don't need to feel guilty. You don't need to beat yourself up, because, you know, you are going to meet somebody who is amazing and who is right for you. And if you are now taking it seriously, so you're dating intentionally and you're dating with really healthy expectations and wanting to build something rather than, you know, every relationship being based on drama and adrenaline, then you will absolutely get there. And it's not a waste of time, because you will have learned a hell of a lot through those dates. Okay, so I hope that helps. I hope that helps us kind of move through the grey area from going from unavailable to attracted to, you know, people who actually are compatible with you and who do like you and you do fancy. But as always, please do get in touch at, what's my email? Caitlin@thecompatibilitycoach.co.uk. I'll put my website and my Instagram below as well, but I would love to hear from you. Please do like, follow, subscribe, all of the usual stuff, and I will keep popping out little videos every so often for you.